important. Most of the people have a misconception that Bhagavad Gita, if one studies Bhagavad Gita or one accepts and applies Bhagavad Gita, he will become free from action. No. Krishna is recommending to perform action. But what kind of action? Not ordinary action, which will bind the jiva in the reaction. That is called karma. But that action which will liberate the jiva. This is very, very extraordinary. This is revolutionary. So we will discuss that from the 6th verse. Before we begin, we will begin with the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So Krishna is here very clearly defining the highest principle or the standard for everyone who is in this material existence as to what he should do and what he should not do. There is no need to consult any other scripture or, for that matter, any other person. One of the glories of Bhagavad Gita is Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. If you have one literature, which is Ekam Shastram, that is coming, that is emanating from the lotus mouth of Devaki Putra, that is Lord Shri Krishna. And it has been flowing from his mouth as a Gita. That is why it is called Bhagavad Gita. So Sripad Shankaracharya, he is summarizing. Shankaracharya is one of the great authorities in the Vedas, in the scriptures. He says that Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gita, that there is sufficient for one to achieve perfection in human form of life. If he has this one scripture, that is Devaki Putra Gita. And he says that Eko Devo Devaki Putra Evaha, that amongst all the lordships are so many gods and goddesses. The foremost amongst all is only one. Like there are many ministers, but amongst all the ministers, there is only one prime minister. So he says, among all the devas, among all the demigods and the goddesses, Eko Devo. And who is that Deva? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Devaki Putra Eva. And then he says, Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani. That if you want to achieve perfection, there are so many mantras and so many recommendations in so many scriptures by so many people, by so many sages, by so many demigods. But he says, what is the conclusion? What is the crux or the essence of it? What is the pinnacle? The pinnacle is Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani. The mantra, which is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Namani Yani. Mantras Tasya Namani Yani. Mantra which recites the name of the Lord, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this mantra is sufficient for achieving all perfection. And very important, which is today's discourse that we will be discussing, Karma api ekam tasya devasya seva. So there are many avenues to perform action, or there are many reasons to perform action. One performs action for one's own survival, or trying to be happy, or trying to make others happy. So many reasons to perform actions, but these actions are very entangling. So Sripad Shankaracharya recommended that there has to be only one action. Karma api ekam. Only one action must be performed. What is that action? Is tasya devasya seva, in the form of service to that Supreme Lord, who is Devaki Putra. So this is the title of today's chapter, is performing action in Krishna consciousness. So this is the 5th chapter, which is the continuation of the theme which Krishna is giving of Karma Yoga. And in the 2nd chapter, Krishna has already spoken that everyone in this human form of life, they have a birthright. That is right, and that is granted by birth. And what is that birthright of each one and everyone? Can anyone share? Very few participants today are recovering from the yatra, I think. What is the birthright? Krishna is giving certain birthright to everyone. If you are born in different countries, by default, you get some birthright. If you are born in India, you are the citizen of India, that is your birthright. You get some benefits being a citizen of India. But Krishna is giving a very universal birthright to everyone. What is that birthright? Speak. 4 or 5 of you. Yes, there shall be. Dolamani.
Prabhuji, the right to perform our prescribed action without attachment to the result.
Yes, Krishna says, Karmanyavadhikaraste. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties. That is the birthright. That everyone who has come in this human form of life, he has to perform action. But what action? Not any action, but any whimsical action. Whimsical action means based on our own likings and dislikings. So that action will bind the living entity. But one has to perform the prescribed actions. And then in the 3rd chapter, 2nd chapter, Krishna gave this principle of performing prescribed action. And in the 3rd chapter, Krishna spoke that there is not even a moment that one can refrain from performing action. 3rd chapter, 5th verse, Krishna says, Nahi kaschat shanamapi jatu tishtanti akarmakrit. That it is not possible for anyone in this human form of life to completely give up action, abstain from action, or remain without action, not even for a moment. Either he is working physically or he is working mentally. Even while sleeping, one is breathing. That is also an action. Can anyone stop breathing? Is it possible? He'll be dead. It is not possible. So one has to perform the action which is recommended by Krishna. That is the highest position or the highest benefit of performing action, being in Krishna consciousness. So we saw in the conclusion of the 4th chapter, Krishna spoke about that one must perform action. Krishna told Arjuna in the 41st verse of the 4th chapter that you must perform action being situated in yoga. Yoga sannyasta karmana. That as Dayashil Dulamani said, that one has to perform action with the spirit of detachment. And Arjuna became confused. Arjuna was thinking, Krishna is talking about sannyasa. Sannyasa means renunciation. And what is renunciation? Not the renunciation of the attachment to the action, but renunciation to the fruits of the actions. So he said, if Krishna is recommending renunciation, then I don't have to perform any action. Because his prescribed action to fight was very troublesome for him, was giving him a lot of anxiety. So he thought better for me to accept this principle of renunciation and run away. And Krishna chastised him. And Krishna spoke to him and he told him that it is important for you to perform action. And then Arjuna inquires, in the first question, Arjuna inquires that first of all, you ask me to renounce work and then you recommend work with devotion. So please tell me that out of the two, which is beneficial for me? The terms were sannyasam and the other was yogam. So sannyasam is for renunciation and yogam is for devotional service or action in Krishna consciousness. And Krishna in the reply says that both are glorious. Sannyasa karma yogascha, both renunciation of work and work in devotion, both are glorious. Why? Because both are liberating. Both are liberating. But out of the two, Krishna says, for you, my dear Arjuna. So here sannyasa is also taken as the path of cultivation of knowledge. Whereas yoga is the path of performing devotional service. So Krishna says that both are glorious because both are liberating from the entanglement of action. But out of the two, for you, which is better? Karma yoga is better. Yogam is better. So we will see the 6th verse today. So Krishna is concluding this section by this 6th verse, where he is giving his final recommendation. And he is saying why karma yoga is better for you. That is, devotional service is better for you than renunciation of the prescribed action. This is verse number 6. I'll show it on the screen. You have Bhagavad Gita, all of you? Few of you are listening. I hope you have Bhagavad Gita. And those who will listen, later, I would recommend that kindly have Bhagavad Gita as it is to see both the verses, translation, and the purport of Srila Prabhupada. I'll show it on the screen. 56th verse. So Krishna is concluding this section of which is better, the karma sannyas or the karma yoga, renunciation or action in Krishna consciousness. Sannyāsas tu mahā-bāho duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ yoga-yukto munir brahma na cireṇādhigacchati. He says that sannyasa means renouncing the work and quitting one's family, quitting one's society, or quitting one's familiarity and going in a secluded place. He says, sannyāsas tu mahā-bāho. He's telling Arjuna that you are mighty arm. But if you take this kind of sannyas of, what is the sannyas? Of not performing your prescribed work and going to the forest, what will be the result? Duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. Duḥkham, it will be the cause of your suffering. Why? It is ayogataḥ. Yoga means connection with the Supreme Lord. And ayogataḥ means that one who remains disconnected or who does not perform devotional service. So the connection with the Supreme Lord is through performing devotional service. So Krishna is recommending through Arjuna to everyone who is thinking that spirituality would mean that giving up one's own all prescribed duties, and that will become the cause of one's relief from all suffering. No, it will not be that way. It will never be that way. So if one runs away from one's prescribed duty, just in the yatra, I met one, person who came. So he is having distress in his life for many reasons. And again, like general people's perception is, मैं चाहता हूँ प्रभु जी मैं सब कुछ छोड़ के मंदिर में आ जाऊं. What you will do in the temple? Huh? If you come in the temple, what do you have to perform? You have to perform devotional service. Temple is meant for engagement in devotional service for 24 hours. But the spirit of coming is that I don't want to do anything. So if one comes, what will be his position? He'll be miserable. His mind will torment him. Many times we see people change jobs. Isn't it? Have you seen or not? In today's phenomena, there is this so-called, there is no job satisfaction. They'll keep changing from one company to another company, from one activity to the other activity. But what is the result? Nowhere they find any satisfaction or any happiness. Why? Because this principle they are not following. But that is why in this world there will be never any situation of satisfaction. Whether it is job, whether it is family, whether it is friend, or whatever. Because this principle is sannyāsas tu mahā-bāho. One is running away. One is trying to escape from performing his prescribed duty. As one tries to escape to perform his prescribed duty in the garb, a show off, a false show of sannyas. What will be the result? Duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. He'll be inflicted with heavy miseries in his life. Not only in this life, even in next. Many times people ask us, why am I suffering? I have not taken anyone's property. I have not kidnapped anyone's wife. I have not done this. I have not done that. I have not murdered anyone. I have not stolen anyone's property. Why am I suffering? This is the reason. You are not performing devotional service. one who is not performing devotional service. And why? What is the reason? Many reasons they give. All flimsy, useless reasons. Why? Because there is no desire to perform devotional service. What will be the result? Duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. Don't think that by not performing devotional service, there will be no reaction. There will be very heavy reaction. Human form of life is meant to serve the Supreme Lord. And whoever fails, for whatever reasons, so people are renouncing what? They're not renouncing the material activity, but they want to renounce devotional activity. First, they do not know what is devotional activity. Even if they are informed or inspired to perform, they take it up and very soon they give it up. So what will be the position? Krishna is saying that duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. And on the other hand, one who is yoga-yukta. Yoga-yukta means one who is engaged in devotional service. That means he is connected to the Supreme Lord. So the first principle is sannyāsas to duḥkham. And what is the reason of duḥkham? Ayogataḥ, disconnected. So to the extent one is disconnected from the Supreme Lord, he will have all reasons to suffer. On the other hand, who is yoga-yukta? See the word. Previous one, ayogataḥ. One who is ayogataḥ, Prabhupada says, without devotional service. Or one who is disconnected. Simple. Remember disconnection. So disconnection will bring miseries. Whereas on the other hand, one who is a yoga-yukta. Yukta means engaged. And yoga means in connection to Krishna. So engagement in connection to Krishna means what? Performing service to Krishna. That is devotional service. So such a person is munir brahma. Na cireṇādhigacchati. He can achieve this supreme Brahman. Yoga-yukto munir brahma. He will not receive dukkha. What he will receive? He will receive the Supreme. Because he is engaged in the service of the Supreme. And when he will receive the Supreme, who knows? Krishna has recommended in Bhagavad Gita, but who knows when the Supreme will come in his life or how he will achieve the Supreme. Krishna says, Na cireṇādhigacchati. It will not take much time without delay. So the translation is merely renouncing all activities. Many times people have this notion. Either there is so much of trouble here in my job, there is so much of trouble here with my husband or with my wife or with my children. There is so much of trouble here in the job. There is so much of trouble here with my neighbors. There is so much of trouble with my boss, whatever. So what I should do? I should give them up and go and find someone else better at any place. Wherever you go, whomever you foster association, your karma will be with you. It will not leave you. It cannot spare you. It is foolish. Those who are immature, they are thinking that their entire life is spent like this, hopping from one job to another job, from one husband to another husband, from one wife to another wife, but they do not come to the conclusion. And what is the result? Is duḥkham āptum. On the other hand, one who is engaged, who is yoga-yukta. So what is his result? Is munir brahma. That he achieves the Supreme Lord. When? Without delay. Quickly. So merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. It is a very, very important principle. The earlier we accept, understand and apply, the better for us. Why? Because the miseries in life will start to terminate, to diminish. and finally dissolve. To the extent we do not or we remain away, then we remain in a suffering state. And then Prabhupada says, on the other hand, but a thoughtful person, not everyone can do that. What is required? The qualification is required. What is the qualification? That he should be a munir. Munir means a thinker. So how we have to think? We have to think in lines with Krishna. He is the greatest Muni. He has already given the best result to us in the form of Bhagavad Gita. Eko Shastram Devaki Putra Gita. Karma api ekam devas tasya seva. So a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. So Arjuna, for you what is better is to perform devotional service. This was Arjuna's question. So Krishna is answering Arjuna's question. That what is better, sannyasa or karma? So Krishna is giving the recommendation. Yes, Shreyo, in the first question Arjuna was asking, in the first verse, that which one is better? That please tell me definitely. So Krishna is giving a definite answer. Which is better? So for all of us, what is better is to be engaged in devotional service. At any stage of life, or for any rhyme or reason, if we become negligent or irresponsible in performing devotional service, what we are inviting miseries for ourselves. The Prabhupada talks about two classes of sannyasis. We'll discuss the purport. You have Bhagavad Gita, so I need not share the screen. Please hear very attentively. So there are two classes of sannyasis or persons in the renounced order of life. The mahā-bāho sannyasis are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy. So this is what people understand sannyas. No more action, no more trouble, no more anxiety, no more hard work, no more headache. Life means you are free, you are relieved, nothing to do. Sit in the Himalayas, food will come automatically, and there is no one to bother you, and you don't have to do any action. Prabhupada saying these are the mahā-bāho sannyasis who are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy. Whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy. The Prabhupada is comparing, Prabhupada is contrasting. If there are two types of sannyasis, one is called the Jnana sannyasa. The first category is the Jnana sannyasi, and the other is the Vaishnava sannyasi. So the Jnana sannyasis, they are engaged in study of scriptures, Vedanta mainly. Those who are the followers of Shankaracharya. Actually, they are not the followers of Shankaracharya, because Shankaracharya tells them to accept the recommendation of Bhagavad Gita. But they don't accept that. And what they do, they try to evaluate on their own from the Vedantas. The Prabhupada is saying that they are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy. So we will see what is Bhagavatam philosophy on this subject that we are discussing, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The mahā-bāho sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutra, but use their own commentary called the Sharadika Bhashyam, written by Shankaracharya. The student of the Bhagavad school are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord according to Pancharatrika regulation. So this is the fundamental difference. So the Jnanis are not engaged in performing devotional service. They are only engaged in study of scriptures. And which scriptures? Primarily the Sharirika Bhashya, the impersonal commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which denies the highest form of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagement in the transcendental service of the Lord. So see, both study. It is not that a Vaishnava sannyasi will not study. He will definitely study. But what he studies, he does not study the impersonal commentary of the Vedanta Sutra, which is Saririka Bhashya, but he studies the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he is also acquiring knowledge. The other category of sannyasi is also acquiring knowledge. But what is the basic difference? But here, the Vaishnava sannyasi have multiple engagement in transcendental service of the Lord. It is very important. That the mind can only be purified when it is performing prescribed action. So the Mayavadi sannyasis, they give up action to be free from the state of suffering. But that is not possible. Whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis, they engage in action 24 hours. We see Srila Prabhupada's society. When Srila Prabhupada went to the West, he himself cooked. Although sannyasi is not supposed to cook, he should not ignite fire. But Bhagavad Gita says, Ge sanyate sannyasi, ye na dveshti, na kamshati. It is the same verse we discussed 2 days back, last time. Was nirdvando hi mahā-bāho, 3rd verse. Sukham bandhat pramuchyate. And when we will come to the 6th chapter, Krishna says, who is a sannyasi? Who is anashrita karma phalam, karyam karma karoti. Who is unattached to the fruits of his work. So Prabhupada cooked Krishna Prasad and offered to the hippies. And when these hippies, they ate Krishna Prasad, they were purified. Their heart changed. Their heart changed. Their minds changed. Their mission of life changed. So this is very important. Prabhupada was bringing all groceries. He was cutting vegetables. He was cooking, offering to Krishna and giving them prasad. And after they ate, they were all very gross people. They were not Vaishnavas at that time, the Americans, the hippies. So after they left, Prabhupada even cleaned the area where they ate prasad, and he also cleaned the pots where he cooked. And he also, when these American boys and girls, they became serious and they started following Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada got them married. Prabhupada writes in some of his purports, it's not the duty of a sannyasi to perform marriage. What has sannyasi to do with marriage? He is in renounced order. But why Prabhupada got them married? So that they can advance in Krishna consciousness. So all the acharyas, all the Vaishnavas, they are always engaged. Why? To make the society come closer to Krishna. Everyone to become yoga-yukta. Why? Because if they are yoga-yukta, if they are engaged in devotional service, they will achieve the Supreme Lord. And their miseries will be over forever. So the devotee, the Vaishnava sannyasi devotee, he has multiple engagement in the transcendental service of the Lord. Can you name some of the other services which is generally prohibited for a sannyasi, but Prabhupada did it? Yes? You can speak. Yes, Ganesh Bro.
Prabhuji, they won't travel in voyage like sea and all. They should not travel out.
Sannyasi means he will not go out of India. You see, all our predecessors, acharyas, even Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Madhvacharya, they never went out of India. They never left the territory or land of India. neither by sea or nor by air. But Prabhupada took this revolutionary step. He went out of India. If he would have not went out of India, no one would have known Krishna Bhakti outside India. And Prabhupada took so much of trouble to do that. Okay, very good. What are the other engagements which Srila Prabhupada accepted as a yoga-yukta and to make others also become yoga-yukta? Quickly, yes, Sonika, your hand was up. Many. There's a long list, not only one.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I wanted to tell the same point, Prabhuji, which
That
Ganesh
is why
has
I am
told.
saying, I got from your hesitation. There is a long list. Prabhupada did so many activities, which normally no one does. Even Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, revolutionary. I come from Jain community. So we see our sages. They say we don't touch money. Prabhupada said, you give me the wealth of the entire world. I will take it, I will accept it, and I will engage it in Krishna service. You give me the wealth of the entire world. The sannyasi, the mahā-bāho sannyasi, if it is a strict sannyasi, he will not touch wealth. Why? Because there is always a danger. What is the danger? That wealth, women, and wine, all three are the reason for the downfall. So they are very scared of it. But because they are not yoga-yukto, they are ayogataḥ, they do not know how to engage it. Okay? So I gave you second example. What are the other examples? Yes, Dayashil? Unmute.
During the Chaturmasya, they don't travel here and there.
Yes. So,
So
Prabhupada
but
did that convention also.
here,
Prabhupada never stopped. He had little time. If he would have waited for 4 months, then how the preaching would have gone? How they would have preached? So he traveled extensively. He used cars, he used planes, he used all the possible ways to spread the message of Krishna consciousness. So he was 24 hours engaged. And he trained his disciples, whom he gave sannyas, to do the same. We see Prabhupada's disciples, the illustrious sannyasis. They are so active, they are hyperactive. Out of 24 hours, they average work 20 hours. People talk very high of Mr. Modi. But on an average, he cannot work 20 hours every day. And of course, not all his action, then either any of his action will come as devotional service. This is very important. The Prabhupada is saying here, they have multiple engagement in transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with the material activities. Why? Because this is yoga-yukta. This is transcendental. As soon as any activity which has connection with Krishna, it is no longer material. It is transcendental. Today I met His Holiness Radha Golokanand Swami Maharaj. Maharaj is for the last 4 years now in Vrindavan. So he was here yesterday. Today I met him in the morning. So he was sharing with me how much they are doing in Vrindavan. Day before yesterday, we were in Vrindavan. We could see so much changes in Vrindavan. So Mother was informing about what is the plan. He said, every day they are giving free prasad. Whoever comes to the temple at the time of morning or evening, he can have full prasad, full meal prasad, free. And to be seated, that new prasadam hall which is made, that is actually a prasadam hall where Prabhupada's disappearance day program was happening. The 5-star prasadam hall is air conditioned. And he was saying from morning to evening, we are giving khichdi prasad free. Every day 20,000 plates being distributed. Then he told me that we have taken so many other buildings in Vrindavan near the temples for making provision for accommodation. Devotees from all over the world came. They don't find accommodation. They struggle so much. So then I told Maharaj, next time when we come, we will book with you. He said, yes, welcome. So he's a sannyasi, but how much he's working over time? Why? So that people will become Krishna conscious. They can become yoga-yukta. They can come. I told him that I did not come to Vrindavan the entire year. I just came in Kartik because Vrindavan is so crowded. You don't get place to stay. You don't get, commutation ride. The vehicle is not allowed. Like a police was always stopping. We were always, pleading them, requesting them, please allow, please allow. I said, it is such a painful experience. He said, yes, that is why we are making that pain become pleasure of coming to Vrindavan. Then sannyasa, he said, why should I take all this botheration? What have I to do with? I have taken sannyas. I am free from all this trouble. I'll to hell with people. Whether they come or they don't come, no, he is working 24 hours. Why? Because he wants everyone else also to become yoga-yukta. This Prabhupada is explaining here. The Vaishnava sannyasi has nothing to do with the material activity. They are building a huge new complex. They showed. I hope those who were with me in the yatra, they must have seen the new plan, the new construction plan which is there for Vrindavan temple. Huge guest house. Why? So that more and more devotees can come from all over the world and take benefit of being in Vrindavan. Already they are providing free prasad to everyone. He said, whoever comes, irrespective of however big your yatra is, we will give you free prasad. But he said, Maharaj, there will be 2 hours standing queue. Who will take that free prasad? The entire day will be lost in standing in the queue. He said, no. That is why we have made that new prasadam hall. And this time, they started prasad at 11:30. There was not much queue. At 1:15, there was no queue in prasadam. It was over. 16,000 devotees took prasad on Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. We were managing 80 people prasad, there was queue. Yesterday I was observing at the dinner, there was queue, both inside and outside. So this is what is sannyas. Actually, sannyas means acting for Krishna. Yoga-yukta. So they are not on the material platform. They are always on the transcendental platform. This is why, because prasad distribution is recommended. So prasad distribution now ISKCON is becoming one of the most, known place for having free prasad. Many people who are not even ISKCON devotees, they are coming to ISKCON. Why? Because there is free prasad. And very shortly he was saying, for elderly people, those who have served the society for so many years, they are building up accommodations. So hyperactive. Although he has taken sannyas, he is a sannyasi. But why? They are engaged in devotional service 24/7. They perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. This is the principle. But the mahā-bāho sannyasis engage in studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation. There are so many other sannyasis also in Vrindavan. But they are mainly engaged in their own study or speculation. What kind of study is that? Is speculation. What is there in the Vedanta? Krishna has already given the essence of Vedanta in Bhagavad Gita. But they don't accept what is given in Bhagavad Gita. So what they are doing? They are concocting or speculating. Cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Such people cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious and sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculation and impersonal interpretation by artificial means are all useless. Prabhupada is warning. Their dry speculation and impersonal interpretation by artificial means are all useless by the mahā-bāho sannyas. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties. They have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. Where? Here in this verse. If we are engaged, we are yoga-yukta, then Krishna is guaranteeing admittance to the supreme destination, his own abode. Prabhupada is saying here, who are engaged in devotional service, the Vaishnava sannyasis, who are engaged. So Prabhupada gave sannyas at the age of 20. It was never heard of. Why Prabhupada gave sannyasis to such young men? Because Prabhupada wanted their energy to be utilized in performing devotional service. It is not at the fag end of the age, 80 years, 90 years, you get sannyas. And what you do? There is no energy. There is no, capacity to perform devotional service. You already old age. Old age has taken over. So they are engaged in devotional service and are happy. This is the formula of how to be happy. I was sharing with Ravinder Prabhu. You are watching, Ravinder? Where are you? Or he has gone to see them off, his guest. Is he watching, Priyanka? Bolo? Yes, no?
नहीं प्रभु जी उनको कुछ काम है
काम है भगवत गीता सुनने से बड़ा कौन सा काम है So this is very important. If you are performing devotional service, you will see that it is not a burden, it is a joy. It is a joy. Why? Because Krishna is satisfied. And as Krishna is satisfied, you are never tired. You feel happy. You get more inspiration and more energy to perform more devotional service. The Prabhupada is saying here that they are happy in the discharge of the devotional service. Krishna will speak later. Susukham kartum avyayam. Devotional service means it is performed happily. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activity of philanthropic and altruism nature, which are nothing but material engagement. What is the example? Hear very attentively. There is a national example for this principle what Prabhupada is saying. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Who is the example? Yes, Sonika, you've got it.
Prabhuji, yeah. Chief Minister of UP, Yogi Adityanath.
No, he's already into politics, yes, to some extent. But I'm talking about someone else. Very famous personality in India. Yogi ji is in UP, but he has presence all over India. Many, many followers. Bolo, bolo. No one of you know. He runs the full empire of business. I'm giving you a big hint.
Okay.
What is left now? I've already
Hare
named. Just not named him, but given all. Yeah. Boli?
प्रभु जी रामदेव बाबा
Yes, Ram. What is he doing? Patanjali, business. Everything he is selling. What it started? It started as the activity for helping others. become free from disease. It is possible. Can anyone be free from disease? Can any Baba do that? Can any Baba stop anyone from dying? So what is the position? This is the position. They have given up. They have fallen down from the path of self-realization and entered into the material activities of philanthropic and altruism, which are nothing but material engagement. Why material engagement? Because it is not yoga-yukto. It is ayogataḥ. Therefore, the conclusion is those who are engaged in Krishna conscious activities are better situated than sannyāsas. Very, very powerful and revolutionary statement. Please hear it again. Prabhupada is saying, therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness activities are better situated than the sannyāsas engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman. Although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births, and Prabhupada disciples proved it. When Prabhupada was preaching in the West, in America, in early 70s, he wanted to preach in Europe. And he trained 3 of his householder disciples with their wives to go and preach in Europe. Where in Europe? The place where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent his sannyas disciples. And they all came back unsuccessful. Big sannyasis, very renounced, very learned, very staunch sannyasis. 3 had gone to Germany and to Britain to preach Krishna consciousness. But within a year, they all came back. But Prabhupada sent later in 1970s. That was in 1936 when Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur was alive. Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, 3 of his sannyasis to preach in the West. After spending 1 year and spending so many dollars, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur even financed them. But in case of these householder disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada did not finance them. They had nothing. But they had the principle given by Srila Prabhupada in their heart. You know the 3 couples? 3 grahastha couples. And very new. Not sannyasis who were there in Krishna consciousness practicing for so many years. Gurudas Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji. Then Mukunda Prabhu and Janaki Mataji. And there was Shyam Sundar Prabhu and his wife Narayani Mataji. So all these 3 couples, and the fabulous story that how they entered, because they had no money, but to enter into a European country, you need at least some amount to maintain yourself. Otherwise, they don't allow to enter. If a beggar enters in the country, then who will support? The country people have to support him. So they don't allow. When I used to go to Russia, so that time also there was there. That minimum so many dollars should be there. Although by Krishna's grace, we were taking the maximum limit. There was both the limit, minimum also and maximum also. So if below minimum, they don't allow entry. Even if you ask for a visa now, if you ask for a Schengen visa or a European country visa, they will, they will know how much is your asset or how much resources you have. Then only they will allow. So that they don't have to finance you. And they will also ask for your insurance. That if you fell sick, so who will fund your treatment? So if you have insurance, then only you can enter. So people have to take travel insurance. So they did not have money. So what they did, somehow they managed to get $1,000 on loan. And with that $1,000, one devotee couple entered England. And what he did, he kept $10 for his maintenance and $990 he returned back. through the wire transfer. And the other couple, they added $10 and made it $1,000. So they came to UK. Then the second team also returned $990. So in $1,020, they came to UK instead of $3,000. This is intelligence. And when they came, there was nothing to stay. There was no place to stay. Where to stay? 3 couples, husband, wife. So they stayed in a garage for almost 2 months. And every day they were going on the street, every day, and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the Harinam Sankirtan. And then what a miracle happened. The Prabhupada is saying here, his disciples proved that, therefore the conclusion is those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness activities are better situated than sannyāsas. So Prabhupada said, my Grihastha disciples have excelled the stalwart sannyāsas. But yoga-yukta. One has to be yoga-yukta. There are many, many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. But one of the prominent verses, Manoram Prabhu, this is the prayer by the demigods. So they talk about it. So those who are thinking that just by abstaining from work, just by taking sannyas, they will become free. So they are in big hallucination, misconception. Canto 10th, chapter 2, verse number 32. Yes. So the demigods are, when Krishna is to appear, when the demigods have come in Mathura and they are praying in front of Mother Devaki to the Supreme Lord, the demigods are submitting what they are saying. Ye anne arvindaksh vimuktamaninas tvai asat bhaved avishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichena param padam tatha patanti adho andrita yushmat angriya. So the demigods are saying, come down to the translation. Someone may say, aside from the devotees who always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, there are those who are not devotees but have accepted different processes of attaining salvation. What is that process? Is the Jnana Marga or the Jnana Sannyas. What happens to them? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and the other demigods said, O lotus oil, they are addressing Lord Krishna, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penance to achieve the highest position, here Krishna is saying, munir Brahma, highest position, thinks themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard to your lotus feet. Come down, let us see Prabhupada's purport. Apart from devotees, there are many non-devotees. I am reading the purport. Known as karmis, jnanis or yogis, philanthropists, altruists, politicians, impersonalists, and voidists. So Prabhupada talked about this 2 categories, philanthropist and altruist. There are many varieties of non-devotees who have their respective way of liberation. But simply because they do not know the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, although they falsely think that they have been liberated and elevated to the highest position, they fall down, as clearly stated by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Ashraddhana purusha dharma sasya parantapa aprapyamam nivartante mrityu samsar vartmani. Very important is those who are not faithful to the path of devotional service. This is again a big warning that those who are not faithful to the path of devotional service cannot attain. O conqueror of foe, but return to birth and death in this material world. Aprapya mam nivartante. Nivartante means to come back. It doesn't matter when one is a karmi, yogi, philanthropist, politician, or whoever. If one has no love for the lotus feet of the Lord, one falls down. This is the verdict given by Lord Brahma in this verse. There are persons who advocate accepting any process and who say whatever process one accepts, come down, will lead to the same goal. But that is refuted in this verse, where such persons are referred to as vimuktamanina, signifying that although they think they have attained the highest perfection, in fact they have not. In the present day, big politicians all over the world think that by scheming, they can occupy the highest political post, or that of president or prime minister. But we actually see, even in this life, such big prime ministers, presidents, and other politicians, because of being non-devotee, fall down. Patanti atha. To become president or prime minister is not easy. One must work very hard. Aruha kruchena, to achieve the post. And even though one may reach his goal, at any moment, one may be kicked down by material nature. In human society, there have been many instances in great exalted politicians that fall down from government and become lost in historical oblivion. The cause of this is avishud buddhe. Their intelligence is impure. The Shastra says, Nate vidu swadgatim hi Vishnu. One achieves the perfection of life simply by becoming a devotee of Vishnu. But people do not know this. Therefore, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Klesho adhikaras tesham avyakt asaks chetasa. That is in 12.5. And here also Krishna is saying the same thing. Sannyāsas tu mahā-bāho duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. There he is saying klesha, here he is saying dukkha. Result is the same, suffering. There is no difference. Why? Because their intelligence is impure. How the intelligence become pure? Tesham sadata yuktanam bhajatam priti purva. So this is what Krishna is recommending. Okay, you can stop the share. So very important. The process of purification is by performing devotional service. Without being purified, if one takes any position, he will only suffer. One has to take only one position. What is the position of the jiva? Can the position of the jiva ever change? It cannot change. So the jiva's position is to perform devotional service. Jivere swarup hoy Krishnera nityadas. So he has to perform service. Okay, I'll stop here. I have not been able to do Deepdhan. I want to stop early, but still there is time for one question. Anyone who has a burning question? Very important principle. Please do not neglect this principle. If we neglect this principle, we are only responsible for duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. So many times I see even those who are practicing, they do not accept what Krishna is speaking. They do not have clarity or conviction in the heart that how happiness can come in their life. They are still confused. And in that confusion, they continue to neglect what Krishna is speaking. And then they continue to suffer. Now, who can save them? Yes, Sonika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Earlier you explained that we are impure and our purity can be done through chanting and devotional services. But here it was mentioned in the purport that through that sloka it was mentioned that who is not faithful in the devotional services cannot attain Lord. So Prabhuji, how can we connect this both?
How can one be, known that whether he is faithful or not? Simple. If he is performing devotional service, he is faithful. If he is not performing devotional service, where is faith? Where is the question of faith? So who can perform devotional service? Who has faith? What? Faith in words of Krishna. Here Krishna is speaking the same thing. That duḥkham, āptum, ayogataḥ. What is the root cause of misery? That one is ayogataḥ, one is not connected. And what is the process of connection? Is performing devotional service, yoga-yukto. So the faithless, he will still reject. He will still think, what I see from outside people, what my friends and relatives told me or tell me, that is better. What my mind tells me, that is better. So this is the sign of faith or faithlessness.
Yes, Prabhuji, faithlessness, that is.
He will not accept Krishna's version. He will not perform devotional service. He will find ways and means and excuses not to do it again and again. Okay. I'll have to stop here. So this first section is complete. How Krishna is saying that Karma Yoga is equal to, but easier than sannyas or jnana yoga. If it is for Arjuna, what about us? Many times I see the devotees also, a full-time devotee in the temple. हम तो वृंदावन जाना चाहते हैं. क्या करेंगे? वहां जाके भजन करेंगे. No, you will create nonsense, nuisance. If you cannot serve here, you cannot serve anywhere. Guru Maharaj tells me. Whoever has to serve, he has to serve in the situation where he is. Mahaprabhu said, Sthane Stitam Shruti-gatam. That is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you cannot serve here and the situation where you are, one cannot serve anywhere. He'll keep finding excuses. Very important principle. Please, I have just spoken for 1 hour or so, but please try to take it deeper into the heart. Clear the misconception. There's a huge layer of misconception for many lifetimes. How can I be happy? But Krishna is giving the formula clear, very crisp, very clear, no scope of confusion. And those who do not accept, for them, what to say? Our praise to Krishna to give them some intelligence to accept. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.